Marathon is collapsing in on itself. Let's talk about it. Scholars, welcome back to the counselor's office with another episode of Reaction Replay. That's right, the Reaction Replay podcast. Now, we've only done maybe one or two other ones, and it's been a long time. So just to refresh you, this is a podcast type of video where you can sit back and enjoy the conversation. While, typically I wouldn't be doing a lot of visuals for the specific topic, we will have some, tweets, but don't worry, for those who are listening and want to listen at like an actual podcast, we'll just read it for you. And then overall, we'll talk about what is going on. Now, generally, I have like a cheat sheet of stuff I kind of want to talk about. And today we are talking about Marathon, which is kind of the been ongoing thing for the past couple of months, or at least the 3 months, because it's kind of a cultural phenomenon in regard to the fact that, well, people are wanting it to fail. And many people are justified in feeling that way, especially with Bungie and their track record. It did not help for many reasons when they came out and were caught stealing art. The play model that they sent out wasn't good. And overall, people and their opinions on Bungie have soured because of Destiny and its treatment. And people outside in the wider gaming audience have taken note. In general, I do have like a cheat sheet of things from Twitter that are very interesting topics in regard to the fall of Marathon. I would have to say one of the biggest things that it's going to be on the screen is a post from Ginger Prime that happened in April. Marathon's toxic community problem could kill the game while they believe they're fighting to save it. Devs ignored internal warnings about needing PvE, and now players are leaving in droves. But for me, I find myself wanting to play, so can Marathon be saved? And that's an interesting topic. We're going to talk about a lot of things, but in general, I'm going to probably end up repeating myself because it's a podcast and I don't really have like a script or anything. We're doing this all raw for your beautiful faces. If you're wondering, reaction replay is based off the action replay, the little cheat device. And you think, well, reaction replay sounds really clever. Why don't you use that for just reactions? Because I just wanted to do a podcast. Everyone does a podcast. I mean, are you really official to do a podcast? Anyways, this is more where I can just yap to yap, and you can sit back and just kind of use this as you're driving down to work, you put this on the radio, you can just sit there, kick back, and listen as we have a conversation, right? It's more chill. Yeah, that's all I gotta say. It's more chill, right? The experience. But Ginger's Prime statement that the community is toxic could kill it. And it's already doing it. We're going to look at multiple instances, but I do feel like you are already seeing a divide in the community. I will react to it. I have not seen it, but even Paul Tassi has put out a video or an article about the divide in the community for Marathon. Essentially, to put it down in terms that from what I'm going to imagine that article would say, or is saying, I haven't read it yet, is that it's casual versus the hardcore Marathon players. I would say even the most casual Marathon players are a step above what traditional casuals are, because Marathon is not one of those, it's not one of those chill games that like Arc Raiders, right? You can have a chill experience with Arc Raiders. Marathon, not so much. Like, it's more hardcore, and that's what it's catered toward, is the hardcore players. But even within that community, there is indeed a more casual audience that is wanting more PvE. And personally, I don't think that's bad. And I know I've heard this counter argument from Tarkov, people in the Tarkov saying that PvE was the worst thing to be added to Tarkov because it split the community. In which case, I don't understand that, because one, people were using PvE anyways. You can download mods and, do it that way without paying for the PvE mod. Secondly, and just the same thing with Marathon, it would encourage people who would normally never play Marathon to actually play Marathon. And that's where the divide is. You have a section of people that are saying, people hate on Marathon, would never give it a shot. They would love it. They gave it a shot. I can't believe people aren't playing Marathon. It's the greatest game, yada, yada. Generally the typical thought, you see on Twitter with a lot of Marathon fanboys. And yet on the same, other side of the coin, people were like, well, let's do PvE so people would play. And no. See, they'll say no, keep that shit out of the game. They'll be very toxic and hateful and gatekeeping, because the reality is they want people to love Marathon the way that they love Marathon, not how you want to enjoy the game, not how you want to play the game. You have to play how they want you to play. You have to enjoy it in the way they enjoy it. You cannot have any other opinions other than their opinions of the game. You can't criticize it. You can't ask for nerfs. You can't do any of that jazz, because if you do, you are the problem. Even though they're saying that people need to play Marathon, it's the greatest game ever, and if you don't like it, you're just a hater. By the way, I have intentionally made a meme format from the boys, putting it on the screen. It is so true. Marathon fanboys. It's something about, Marathon's the greatest game ever. People just hate on it, yada, yada. And then at the bottom, everyone else. And it's just Homelander sitting by himself in a corner with no one in the room. Because that's truly what it is. You have all these weirdos that are like, every Marathon is the greatest game ever. And no one else, they are literally the minority in that situation. And when you have people who would be interested in the game and they give out like, hey, if this had PvE, I would give it a try. No, keep that shit out of my game. What did you expect was going to happen? You think people were like, oh, no, you're right. Okay, this is the community I want to join. That's the community I want to join, where people are already telling me to go fuck myself when I want to say I want to play the game, but I would like to play PvE. No, go fuck yourself. And I get it's an extraction shooter. It's supposed to be PvP. I just don't understand why you can't have a mode for PvE. There are people that will never play Marathon. You'll never get them into the door, no matter how much you make fun of them, no matter how many times you call them dads or casuals, or you sit there and put them down. They will never touch Marathon in that regard because of you and your toxicity. But they won't touch it because they don't want to do PvP. But the moment you open the doors to PvE, you will have an influx of players. I guarantee it. There will be, and that's not me coping. Like, there generally will be people, just like there's people playing PvE in Arc Raiders. I mean, we have a working template that works and it's very successful. Like, the best way to explain it is Arc Raiders is the Fortnite of extraction shooters. And not as popular though. Like, everyone knows Fortnite is the most popular battle royale ever. And even with its downward trend that it's having, it's still league successful than most free-to-play live service games, right? But this situation, Arc Raiders really is the Fortnite, and I would say Tarkov is like PUBG Battlegrounds. That's what it was. That's right, PUBG. Yes, with the pan and everything. Yeah, so Tarkov is like the PUBG of extraction shooters. I mean, it was really one of the first ones, and PUBG and H1Z was also one of the first battle royals. Actually, even before that, Arma 3 had a mod, which was the battle royale. I remember that because I sucked. This is when I was first trying to play PC, and I sucked. It was really cool though. But that's one of those situations where certain games pop out where others don't. And compared to that, like, Marathon feels more of like an early access indie game compared to those games. But I do feel like the more that the community itself is exclusive and unwilling to budge on, what can we do to bring more players in? Meanwhile, you're going to continue to, bitch that people are hating on the game. I'm going to say this right now, and this is this is a truth that no matter how much these people like to argue, this is the honest truth that no one can argue against. There is more harm from a toxic, exclusive community than people that just straight up hate on a game. The dudes showing their Steam charts do significantly less damage and harm to Marathon than the actual community of Marathon, who are toxic and hateful and making fun of casuals, making fun of the dads that play, making fun of people who want PvE. Those people and their gatekeeping mentality and their just hateful nastiness, putting people down and putting people in a box, those people do more damage than anyone with a Steam chart on Twitter. You will see these people will murder their game, and they already are. I mean, you also have other situations, some of the toxicity, we never really talked about it, but there was the whole situation of Carson Reed, a dude that was attacking other people in the Marathon community, blaming them for leaking inside information. Carson Reed was this big face in the Marathon Destiny part of the community, and then got outed. Like, he outed himself for being an abuser, assaulting his girlfriend. That is the Bungie community. Not surprised, but they're rest in peace, Carson Reed. Hope that you every bridge possible is burnt. You're an abuser, so personally go fuck yourself. But yeah, we're gonna go over a couple tweets, kind of going over what I was talking about with people absolutely glazing and trying to make it sound like it's so unfair that more people don't like Marathon. We got Pigeon. Marathon is slowly but surely gathering the critical acclaim it deserves. Whatever happens next, just know we're having a ball, living and breathing and playing. We're gonna go through some tweets. That was in March. We're now in April, and we're gonna see. It's gonna be very interesting to see the counterplay of some of these tweets that are coming out now. Because people are not having a ball. They're not. In fact, you could say people are tired of balls being thrown. Grenades. Green Pig. Marathon hate from people who have never played it, potentially making less people consider buying it. Is so sad. I've never seen a game this good go through something like this. Well, again, when you have a toxic community that is divided upon itself, you have content creators against the main, it's multiple subsections, right? You got content creators versus the regular Joe. You've got the casual versus the hyper players, right? The hardcore. You've got all these. You got the PvE players versus the PvP players. You've got so many subsections, and 70% of this community, 60% is Destiny players, which is the most surprising part, but not surprising because the population is actually lower than what's mostly in Destiny. That's the funny part, is that it makes up 70% of the Destiny community is Marathon, but Marathon is having less of a community than Destiny 2 does currently. So it's interesting to see, and it's mostly these content creators in the community that's trying to save the game, right? It is very obvious that content creators from Destiny try to come to Marathon, try to bandwagon off it, try to absolutely, get that bag. I'm going to say right now, even though I think they're shilling, I get it, right? If I wanted to make a career, I would do the same shit. I would absolutely milk the shit out of Marathon. I would milk, or the opposite's true. I would full send on the grifter mode and just full on hate Marathon. People think that I actually hate Marathon. I mostly make fun of the fanboys, not even the average Joe. In fact, most people are very appreciative of me in my comment section about how I talk about Marathon in regard to the fact that I'm not really attacking the Marathon, people that enjoy Marathon or the average Joe. I'm talking about content creators and the unhinged fanboys that generally are the gatekeepers and are toxic and also make people not want to play the game. Those are the people I make fun of. I generally don't make fun of Marathon outside of my statement, which obviously pisses people off, is that I think it's an average game that reminds me of I'll say it again, a early access indie game. But guess what? I also said that it's a niche of a niche of a niche, and for its community, it's very much loved. I don't know how much more honest I can get and how fair I could be about that, but people still think that I just hate Marathon and, I just hate Bungie. Overall, I'm not out here, hoping that Marathon dies. but I'm also not, sitting there cheering it on either. I'm also not sitting there holding my breath when we have, a game that is been sinking for many years, and you can look at the popularity chart for Destiny 2. It has been declining for years. And Marathon, its Steam charts look almost like Destiny 2, except the difference between Destiny and Marathon is Destiny 2 has gone through multiple years of that downward projection, whereas Marathon has only been out for 2 months and is almost neck and neck at the same level of Destiny 2, which is not good for a new AAA, video game. Not good. Just not good. Mrs. 5,000 watts. There are a ton of people who would generally love Marathon who aren't playing it. It's the only first-person shooter multiplayer game that's grabbed me in many years and offering something actually unique in the space. I hope more people give it a try. It's a fantastic game. Again, when you start having gatekeeping, parts of the community, you have people making fun. I mean, look at Shroud. Shroud no longer even plays Marathon. He dipped, but he kept on making fun of the, people who wanted to play it or didn't play it because it was too sweaty. He kept on calling them dad gamers. You just kept on insulting them. When you have people like that and you have content creators and even just the regular people on the game insulting you constantly, you're not going to want to support that game or its community. Like some of this hate that people like to use as this is what's killing Marathon. No. You are creating and manufacturing some of the hate with how you act to other people outside of the wider gaming audience. This mentality, the toxicity that you create and present, one, keeps people, they want to touch that community. I mean, Destiny is notably one of the most toxic communities in the gaming industry. And it's with 70% being Marathon. That's flowed over and you could see it. You absolutely see it with some of the tweets that we'll cover and I'll talk about, right? So we have Tomographic, another tweet. Marathon is being so slept on by the first person community. It's been interesting as a content creator hearing directly from viewers that they refuse to watch because they can't get past the polarizing visuals to understand that this is truly one of the best feeling first person shooter experiences in years, with tight gunplay, insane tension, generally has my heart beating on my chest, and a gameplay loop that actually rewards skill and decision making. Yeah, and I think that a lot of people will get that by playing Tarkov. And I say this because a lot of the content creators that were standing and manning Marathon have gone back to Tarkov. And that is something very notable. This game is Marathon's only been out for 2 months, and people are already going back to Tarkov, which has been out for years. Some of these content creators have been playing Tarkov for years, and they already have left. That says more than anyone raising a Steam chart, right? You have dudes that are they do Tarkov or extraction shooters. That is their genre, and they've already left a Marathon. And we're gonna go through some tweets. A lot of content creators are leaving Marathon. I mean, even Astacross has abandoned Marathon. It's very interesting. Let's keep going. The J-Man. People are sleeping on Marathon because they are choosing to listen to some herb goon over Steam chart numbers while making 12 cents a month on ad revenue. Again, these are excuses. I'm just putting on a screen. Every time I see like this excuse that people would love Marathon and yada, 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 yada. It's the hate that's killing it. It's generally these people are sitting in the corner by themselves. That is absolutely, there's Homelander sitting in a corner in the room by himself, all like alone. That's the Bungie fanboys. One Peg, $20 says this guy showed up at a Birds Aren't Real rally and thought it was serious. And it's a response to the Speranza Intel, which is like an Arc Raiders account. It's giving numbers like Arc Raiders peak and then Marathon peak, which is even lower now for both those games, by the way. I just put this in there because this is March 23rd. I think last I checked, I think One Peg is also abandoned. And this is the guy that was standing. He was raging constantly against people posting Steam charts, and he is abandoned Marathon too. It's funny. Another content creator from Destiny, Leopard. Where did all the Marathon haters go? Did they all log off the internet? LOL. Hey Leopard, where did all the Bungie the Marathon fanboys go? Did they log off? Because it looks like they did. Because the player count logged off, and the content creators are logging off. It's almost ironic that I'm glad I keep some of these tweets in my pocket, because you get to really see them pop out, and you're like, okay, We have Gators. I don't know what her name is. Here's the facts. I always thought it was alligators, to be honest. Here's the facts. If Bungie properly balanced the Marathon sandbox, which they are fully capable of doing, instead of leaving it to whatever players complain about each week, the community would not constantly fight each other. We are literally set against each other because they keep letting broken metas thrive. Before I continue this tweet, welcome. I mean, I don't know if this person is new to the Bungie community or not. Welcome to a Bungie product. If that is not par for the course, this has happened in Destiny 2. It'll probably also happen in Destiny 1, but definitely noticeable in Destiny 2. Welcome to Bungie.com. Okay, continuing on. You shouldn't be able to have 500 frag nades that literally one-shot blue shields and lose everything to a nade. That's worse than the goo gun, endgame weapon, and most prestige weapons. It is genuinely good for the overall health of the game for them to keep listening to community feedback and nerf things. However, the nerfs they are doing are too much. The shotgun, the knife, etc. It is almost as if they want us to argue about more traction like they did in Destiny 2. Oy. I mean, it's like history repeating itself. You just can't make it up, man. You just can't. I'm sitting here thinking, I remember very clearly that I would say this before Marathon came out. People thought that Marathon would be different. They thought, oh, there won't be any cheaters, and that's all people are complaining about is cheaters. Oh, we have dedicated servers, but people are still lagging and having server issues. We're gonna get constant support, which, by the way, Marathon has been getting quite, very, very fast support, but not fast enough for this community because they continue to bitch about everything. And I mean everything. Like, I thought that people complained and criticized and talked about, Destiny. I feel bad for Bungie because even the most top of the top players are at odds with each other because one likes the knife nerf, one hates it, one hates the shotgun nerf, the other side loves it. Other people say the nades aren't a problem, the others say they are a problem. Which just to say something, Tarkov has impact grenades and you can stack them as much as you want, and they are annoying AF, but that's just part of the gameplay. You have to deal with impact nades, and they can one shot too, by the way. But I get this is Marathon, this isn't Tarkov, this isn't a military sim, right? This is a futuristic space game, which I still think it's funny because one of the biggest things in Halo was the plasma grenade. I don't know how many times I would sit there and try to stick people. Even when I was about to die, I would stick people with a plasma grenade. Right, and I would also try to aim for the nuts because you gotta go for flare. Then we have Axe Uwu Face. Laugh my ass off. Yeah, okay. This is a response to Salta Greppo. So let's read the Salta Greppo tweet and then the response. So Salta Greppo had this to say on April 23rd. You cannot ship a video game that goes from knife abuse to shoddy bubble to goo gun to rail one tap and nade spam. Like, dude, just ship a game with a decent PvP sandbox. It cannot be that hard. It's frustrating to see them focusing on a PvP game and it's legit worse than Crucible. Damn. You know it's bad when Salta Greppo is shitting on your game. And by the way, this is not this is not new. Salta Greppo he's literally the dude that says nerf everything, or at least that's what people like to meme. He's the reason Divinity got nerfed. I say that sarcastically, but I mean, we never know, right? He was very anti-Divinity in Destiny 2, but it's still funny. I I don't, people think also, I remember when I watched him, I was memeing and trolling a dude in chat because he thought I hated Salta Greppo, and I was just literally just memeing, and people were clipping out of context and thinking that I actually hated Salta Greppo. I have no problem with Salta Greppo, and in fact, I think he's overhated. I think it's funny, but I mean, he's most of his takes. I don't agree with everything he says, by the way, but most of his takes, I do feel like he does say things that benefit the average gamer, like just kind of a small rant. I mean, it's a podcast. I do whatever what I want and talk about it, right? Salta Greppo was like very anti why the armor changes, right? How armor, especially exotics, were capped at tier 2, which is like awful tiered, whereas people who were able to farm like tier 3s, almost tier 4 armor free Edge of Fate. And he was like, are we gonna fix this problem? Also, the the stat packages, you could get illegal rolls, and he was very much against that too, saying, hey, are we gonna deal with this, or are we gonna, everyone who farmed these are gonna have an advantage, the average Joe's not gonna have it? Granted, it does impact him and anyone else in the future, but it's still, he's speaking up for the average Joe as well. So there's situations where Salta Greppo has spoken out for the best of the entire community, and there's times where he's obviously coming from a very prestigious position that is only going to impact the top 1%. But overall, he was also very much against the forced artifact boosting, having a full set every year or couple months. Bungie is wanting to reset the meta, and you would have to regrind armor to get damage bonuses. I remember the whole debate with Raffle Waffles, and man, I've never cheered on a Destiny 2 content creator more than Salta Greppo when he was sitting there just shitting on Raffle Waffles with that was the time that Raffle Waffles was sitting there. He was a new blood, kumbaya. Why is everyone so focused and so upset about this situation? He was so new and so fresh and so oblivious to what was actually going on. And you had the veteran Salta Greppo sticking up like, hey, let me educate you. Let me tell you what's really up. Anyways, small rant, but it's a podcast. I do what I want. Anyways, in response to Salta Greppo, Axe had this to say, laugh my ass off. Yeah, okay. Saying that Marathon PvP is worse than D2 PvP is definitely something, man. Like, I respect Salt a lot, but that's an issue, and that is an insane thing to say, no? Or am I the one tripping here? I don't think so. I mean, some of this stuff, like shotguns, have been an issue, mostly in other games too, but definitely in Destiny. Like, it's been a constant struggle with Destiny. And something else to say is that I think it's more of an issue in an attraction shooter than an arena shooter like the Crucible. Because you don't lose anything except your insanity in Crucible, whereas in an attraction shooter, you lose your mind and you lose your gear and you lose your time. So in that regard, I would have to agree that when you have screwy metas that are just cancerous, you're forced to have to play, not because in order to win, but in order to make sure you don't lose all your gear. That's pretty much mandatory in a attraction shooter when you have that aggressiveness, right? The Namanon98, what a name. Kinda hate it as a non-mic user a lot. I still listen to my squad and use voice lines when possible, but now I'll just be with a bunch of mutes who don't voice line or ping. This was a response. There's another tweet somewhere that it's buried in here, but this was a response. Bungie is, look, can I find it? I'm going to scroll. Can I find wherever that tweet is? We'll talk about, I guess, when it comes up, but essentially, Bungie's making a playlist where instead of skill-based matchmaking, it's mic-based matchmaking. It's really weird. We'll talk more about it when we get to the other tweet that kind of talks about it. We got TB. Funny how literally anyone with a name in this community is saying the same thing, yet Bungie will panic response changes by Reddit users and Twitter bots. We got, and this is response to Cruiser. who said this: the Marathon Sandbox in its current state is less enjoyable than it was on day one of Marathon. Issue 1, grenades are rampant because the economy changed. And I'm sure they went on to talk about, the shotgun nerf, knife nerf. But yeah, people are already upset about all these nerfs, and they're saying the meta is awful. ZK Mushroom had this to say: Cryo is just grenade festival. Not even fun anymore, to be honest. Marathon is unfortunately starting to feel really stale and unskillful. I find it funny because this is what happens in every game, but even more so in a Bungie game. It's very apparent because even Tarkov has this issue. But it's funny because Tarkov, it's based around bullet type. Like, you could get literally one tap. Funny enough, you can get one tap by just a plain Jane pistol. You could kill a kitted guy with just a plain Jane pistol because of how realistic, or at least in that world, it's more realistic than Marathon. You have more of an opportunity to take on geared players with like max shit. I mean, there's obviously gonna be meta, but at the same point, it's not as aggressive as Marathon in the regard that the meta is that defined where it's do this. But like I said, impact nades in Tarkov, and a lot of people run those and use those. They're good and they're strong, and and camping, extract canning of shotguns that and impact nades too. Those are things that happen. Say less. This is what they had to say. This was expected. The game would be fun for 3 to 4 weeks, then stale out once everything was solved. People gotta wait for season 2 now if people are willing to grind for everything again. I am sorry. There is no shot that you spend $40 to play a live service game for 3 to 4 weeks and you have to wait 2 to 3 months for season 2 to play it again. That is I'm sorry. That is a bad game. Especially when you have other games like Hunt Showdown, which is funny because that's one of the games that they were doing. There was this Twitter account that was comparing a bunch of charts together. I doubt I'll find the tweet. And the Hunt Showdown was on it. But Hunt Showdown now actually has more concurrent players than Marathon does, which is so funny because people were putting all these different games to make Marathon look better. And now it looks worse. Now it's being used against them. Marathon just looks awful compared to all these games now. It looks bad. Maybe I'll make my own chart using Steam and compare them all together. It's bad. But there's no shot that game like Hunt Showdown, which has been out for 7 years, has a higher, dedicated, peak than Marathon, which just came out for 2 months. It's just it's ridiculous. It's absurd. There's no shot there's no excuse, especially with Arc Raiders, where it's just now dipping after like 6 months or how many months it's been out. It's been a long time and it's just now really starting to decline. Again, I find it really hilarious, the argument. All right, then we have Gizaz. I wish I had a screenshot, but it was something along the lines of, oh, this is a response. Maddox had made a post and he's explaining the post, which that post is now removed. So let's read what the post was about and talk about it because, you'll realize real quick why Maddox deleted it. After 500 hours of Marathon, I think the game has run its course. I loved every moment with it, but I really want new Destiny 2 content. Paraphrasing, so that's not word for word, but that's largely it. Yeah, you can tell already the rare moment that Maddox gives a criticism and unintentionally says what we're all thinking, that Marathon wasn't intended for long term. Again, when I say it's early access, this is what I mean. You play it for a little bit. If people thought that a normal game is 3 to 4 weeks, that's not the case. That's early access. Early access is something you play for a couple weeks, then you wait for a next update. Not a full-fledged $40 game. Like, I'm sorry. That's not how that works. But the fact that Maddox himself tweeted that says a lot. And then it also, it's no surprise that he deleted it, because you don't want to make the people mad. You can't make the Bungie community mad. You cultivate it. And I feel bad because I'm sure he probably would be more honest, but his brand and his, attachment to the toxic positivity train is so deep that I doubt he can really say what he really wants to say. But I do want to say, I don't know if it's true. People are saying that he's LARPing as a Warframe content creator. I hope he just becomes a Warframe content creator. Like, if he is LARPing, I hope he full sends. And I would actually, unironically, I would support that. I would probably like those videos and actually subscribe to his channel. Now, here's why. Warframe's a good game. I want to support anyone that supports the game too. Listen, I think it would be him himself would change by playing something other than, a Bungie product. Get away from Bungie. Stop fondling their balls. Fondle the balls of Digital Extremes, because they earn it. They deserve it. They have built a very positive community. They're great devs, and I think he's friends with Meg and Reb, which is great. Full send it. You don't need Bungie anymore. Let them loose. Let Digital Extremes take care of you. Be the poster boy for Digital Extremes. I will support you. I will give, shout outs because I believe in Warframe. I believe in the community. I may not full send it. But that's because I'm also just a casual. This is a hobby. I do it for fun. But if I were to full send into content creation, I would go straight into Warframe 100%. I don't know what I would do or how I would do it, but I would absolutely do Warframe because that's a community that I would absolutely want to get behind. All right, we got another one, another tweet post. Danny Osu. All right, nades are getting nerfed by Tuesday. And the response was to their own tweet. I've seen this pattern of people tweeting about the thing they dislike the most each week. And since the devs listen to, which is great, but some of you want to turn this game to the most boring thing out there, betting something else is getting killed by Tuesday. And I think they actually, Ziggler announced that they're going to reduce stacks and all that stuff for grenades. So they're not wrong. Unironically, they're not wrong. Things did get nerfed. It was just the carry capacity, I think. We got known as Sice. It's frustrating to see them focus on a PvP game and it's legit worse than Crucible. Every time Bungie actively focuses on PvP, they create meta so horrendous that you legitimately couldn't make worse shit if you tried. This is why I have no faith in the current Bungie, that they can't even do. They had one job with a PvP focused game and they're struggling to do that. Right now, Marathon has more developers. They moved developers from Destiny to Marathon. There is now more on Marathon, and they are struggling with a PvP mostly focused game. They are struggling. That says everything you need to know about the current Bungie. They are not capable. There's great, don't get me wrong, there are great devs there, but the whole studio is not great. Let's see, Rico. Yep, can't deal with Marathon anymore. Laugh my ass off. How did you nuke my enjoyment of the game in 2 weeks? I'm telling you, this isn't just me saying that the game's collapsing. We are watching the most dedicated players crash out about this game, attack each other, or just leave. Like, this isn't just me, blowing smoke out my ass or being like, oh, you're just being, a hater. I'm literally we are reacting and talking about other people's reactions as we're going through. Like, this isn't just make stuff. This is like, trust me, bro. These are people who actually play the game. I'm not even reacting to people that just straight up hate the game. I've been reacting to the actual Marathon community itself. That's what's sad. All these things are coming from people within its own community. TB, Marathon is actually fucking ass now. GG game is fucking dead. Laugh my ass off. Was fun while it lasted, I guess. Damn. Rico again. I should have put these back to back. Marathon killing all its momentum from beta to now with the lack of sandbox changes is what is. I guess they meant to say wild. How the hell did the shotgun get nuked, but not the Misra? How did bubbles get nuked while leaving nades untouched? Very good. You even have Grenader Jake. That's right, Grenader Jake coming out with some tweets. 20-second cooldown on utility usage, period. Bring in as many grenades and bubbles as you want, but you have to wait 20 seconds after each use, please, Bungo. And then the next tweet. Playing Cryo today was the least fun I've had playing video games in a very long time. Sad about it, which is funny because he used to complain a lot about Destiny and Trials and how there's cheaters there. Now it's he's not having fun no matter what he's playing when it comes to Bungie. Let's be honest. We got Drewski. I love and play Marathon more than most that I know. However, this week has really burnt me out. Should things not improve Tuesday, I feel I'm left with a painful decision to stop putting in as much playtime. I love that content creators are just threatening out in the public as if they are the demographic. Well, if you don't cater to me, and by the way, this is where a lot of the clashing is coming from. When I told you earlier, it's content creators like Drewski versus the average Joe. They hate the Drewski and all these other content creators because they are like, well, Bungie should not be catering to you. By the way, 70% are from Destiny. A lot of these people are having PTSD from Destiny because they already felt that a lot of these people were catering to content creators, in which case, well, yeah, no, you've got here. Let's be fair. You have content creators and people upset because they feel like Bungie's catering to Reddit and Twitter. So there's that clash. They're at each other's throat. Like, well, they're listening to content creators. No, they're listening to casuals. You're casualifying the game. No, you're trying to make this a streamer game. It's interesting because we're not even including the wider gaming audience. We're talking about the niche of a niche community that is Marathon. That is what makes this podcast interesting to me, is that we're talking about the game itself. We're inside the bubble of Marathon itself. We are observing and listening and talking about what other people in the actual community itself is thinking. Not these, you can't sit there and say, oh, these are just chud accounts. These are grifters. These are people who are actually invested in the game and in the community. It's wild to see the perspective. Again, we have another tweet from Salto Greppo. Tried to play a bit more Marathon today, but the cracks keep growing. Sure, the dev team is pretty fast with feedback, but it's just not enough. They really got to be proactive, not reactive. They need to be able to have a decent PvP sandbox without needing weeks of feedback. Let me just say this real quick. As someone who's played Tarkov, they've made more changes to the sandbox and Marathon than I think any other extract shooter has done. In regards to the fact most extract shooters will wait for a wipe to then refresh everything and mix things up. This game has been out for 2 months and they have already dramatically changed its sandbox. And I think that's actually been a bad idea. I truly do. I think they should have waited to the wipe, and because while you could say there was issues like the goo gun and stuff like that, I think the changes that they made, making access lower and having less people having less of it, I think in general was a fine change. But I think you're seeing so much dramatic change in the sandbox that it's altering how people play. Like a couple weeks ago, people were using guns, and now I'm seeing clips of dudes just running around spamming nades. We got Frostbolt. This match, that was another thing. There was the matchmaking skill-based match bug, or wherever Bungie was saying it was regional. This matchmaking bug harmed the passion I had for Marathon. Was super down to grind on non-cryo days, but I might just have to wait to play till it's back. I'm skipping on playing tomorrow. If it doesn't get better Tuesday, just like Drew said, I'll be playing less. Damn. Again, it is crazy. Bog on my dog. Anyone who seriously believes what is happening is Marathon is a regional matchmaking bug and not some form of skill-based matchmaking, I have a bridge to sell you. By the way, this sparked so much division on its own, especially in the marathon community, because people are arguing there's no skill-based matchmaking. You're crazy. You guys are crazy. Well, most of the people that have been around in Bungie have, they've dealt with the lies. Bungie has lied multiple times about implementing skill-based matchmaking, and they've literally been caught to where they had to admit that they did, right? This is not uncommon. But again, you had people who are new to, a Bungie game, and you have the veterans who know how scummy Bungie can be versus the ones that are like, they're still in, the la la land. They're in the toxic, I wouldn't say toxic positivity. They're in the honeymoon stage of Bungie, where they're finally starting to see some cracks. They're starting to see reality, but they're living in that honeymoon stage where they're like, you guys are crazy. Well, you'll learn. We're not crazy. Wingmeal, Bungie really killed Destiny for a 2-monther flop. That's right, because they made it to where they are making so many changes. They made it to where now you could self-revive other people. You could be, people would be, there's more of a reason to be friendlier to people. And now they made it to where, we'll talk about it, that there's going to be mic-based matchmaking. I think it's funny. People were making fun of Arc Raiders for being friend slop, and Bungie's turning Marathon into friend slop. Smash JT. I see r/Marathon is having a pretty normal one. And by the way, this is something we need to discuss. I have not, like, at first the Marathon Reddit was on fire. People were sitting there blocking any negativity. Now it's really on fire because it seems like no one's blocking anything. It is transformed into something that I'm surprised to see some of these posts, but we're gonna try to view it. I'm gonna try to zoom this in because I don't see it right now. So we have a post from 4 days ago. Can y'all just shut the F up? I want to see cool clips, some memes, and hell, even a little Yuri thrown into the mix. Every one of you critiquing even the slightest nuance is killing my feed. Imagine looking at this game, deciding if you're going to play it, and all you get is some critical discussion how to change something that isn't really a problem. Show me Hot Vandal. Show me it now. Sex sells, people. This is the state of the marathon community, where we're trying to we're so disenfranchised from any kind of criticism that you would rather talk about selling sex and extraction shooter. Let me see sexy Vandal. Wasn't it fun? Wait, no, it's so good. It's so good. People were making fun of content creators like Asmongold. I remember it back when people were sitting there and shitting on the art direction, saying how ugly the characters look, and people were making fun of them, saying you don't need to fuck everything just because the robots aren't fuckable. And now you have people in the marathon community triggered about criticism where they're saying, hey, let me have a fuckable robot. We've gone full circle. That you can't make this shit up. This is what's so beautiful about this. It's the situation Marathon just imploding. It's collapsing. I cannot believe we've gone full circle. It's just the same thing with Arc Raiders. People made fun of it. We've gone full circle, and now Marathon's becoming, more Arc Raiders like. Oh, it's so funny. This is why we've been kind of following along and watching things, because I'm going to be more hyper aware than most people because I'm keeping track of it. And that's what makes it more entertaining and why I report more things like this, because while other people don't give a shit, I make it into a humor fest. I turn it into a Comedy Central because it's funny. We have actually Yana. Marathon is a victim of 4 things: Sony live service reputation, Bungie 2 D2 baggage, online grifters whose most play game is Steam DB player charts. The play tests were terrible. The game itself is generally one of the best shooters in a decade. put the go ahead, put on the screen the Homelander meme where he's all by himself. Guys, Marathon's great. Where is everybody? Marathon's great, guys. An empty room with just Homelander by himself. We got Cry EX. I would appreciate it if people stop pretending no one ever cared about the Marathon franchise. They, in quotations, they say they shouldn't done X and Y with Destiny. How about you let developers work on something else and anything else? I don't know about you, but if I was forced to work on the same game for 12 years, I would at the very least want to branch out eventually, which is fair. But at the same time, last time I checked, McDonald's still sells burgers. And they're pretty fucking successful. Last time I checked, McDonald's didn't want to try to, sell pizza. Who would have thought? Then we have Bungie. Does Marathon's decline in terms of player count not ultimately just come down to the fact that it's an extraction shooter which isn't casual friendly? It may be a damn good game, but that combination immediately makes it less appealing to a very significant number of players. And I think when you have a niche of a niche that is at war with itself and it's very it's already unfriendly, then you have a community that is also unfriendly and very exclusive and refuses to nudge on any possibility of allowing outsiders in. You essentially make it to where you have a dying population at the get-go. Polish tamales. Another average day in the Marathon subreddit. Don't forget to join the conversation, but bury it when you're done, especially when it's pointing out facts. We can't have it here. So this is another post. 250 million. This post says, Marathon is the funniest game I've played since it dropped. I love the story, aesthetics, and even most of the gameplay. The movement has always been glitchy on console. My question is, how do free games with tight budgets like Apex Legends outperform a $40 game with 250 million worth of development? Seeing the player's base decline so fast really confuses me, while Apex has made up to 3.2 billion as a free game. We love to talk about it being a niche shooter with a small audience, but didn't Bungie know that? Can somebody clarify for me, was 250 million spent on development alone, or just the lifetime budget for the game? If the latter, does Bungie keep the extra money off the game fails and put it towards a new game? I generally hate Apex Arc Raiders, so I'm at a loss. I don't think Marathon the game has failed us, but maybe the gaming industry itself. How do better games with a huge budget have such a smaller player base? Because it's a game that wasn't intended. So here, the best way to explain this, Marathon is a game that if it was made by an indie company, it would be successful. Because it would be a less known situation. The budget would match the quality that is Marathon. The heat, the reputation would be different, because you got to think Marathon's reputation Bungie's reputation absolutely impacts Marathon and any of the product they sell. But yeah, I mean, an indie game would be considered successful because, the budget would be lower, but if it made the same amount of money, it would be successful. But for a legendary AAA title, AAA studio like Bungie, this looks really bad. We have another Grenadier Jake post. The Marathon directory has less than 700 viewers right now. What the fuck? Sucks. This game is actually so fun. There's just too many things working against it. And again, I had to check this around the same time that I saw that tweet. Destiny was at 1,700 viewers. Destiny 2 still has more viewers than Marathon. No one is watching. And here's the reality. Marathon's really boring to watch. It was exciting at first, probably because people wanted to see what the strategies are, but there's only 4 maps, if Cryo's rotation. But people have seen everything that's possible. And if all people are doing is just throwing nades the entire time, it gets boring really quick. I think the reason why people watched our creators is because a lot of the content people are making, like I'll use the burnt peanut, a lot of the clips and things that I've seen are people that are just memeing. They're having fun. It sends it back to the C-Nanner days where it wasn't about actually being good at the game. It was about being funny at the game, being entertaining. And a lot of people don't really do those videos that much anymore because they just do it on the live stream. And then now people would make clips of it. And so that's what people are more engaged with on Twitch, is that they would rather watch haha funny, more casual than everyone, MLG pro gaming. Like not very many people engage with that content. And you have Marathon where it looks even more boring when you've seen the same thing over and over and over again. At that point, they're just disconnected. We have new calories. I love this one. New calories. I can't explain it, but posting Steam charts feels like bigot behavior. I'm sorry. I've gone through the whole podcast about saying it. This person's a fucking retard. This is a response to this guy laughing about the Steam charts compared to Destiny, Marathon Steam charts compared to Destiny. I'm sorry. These are the people. Not only, by the way, this devalues what the word means. So when people are actually being bigoted, now no one's going to take it seriously because you've turned it into slang, into a buzzword that has no value. Bigot, grifter, LARPer, and hell, even Nazi at this point are becoming so overused that the value and seriousness that they provide is now just a joke. And that's another reason people see these unhinged weirdos. They don't want to be part of that community. They don't want to be anywhere around those people. So when you have people like that saying shit like this, they're going to be like, okay, whatever, buddy. Then we have Lucky Timpy. It was actually posting an Astrocross video. And this is what Astrocross had to say, talking about how Destiny 2 players did everything they could to make Marathon be a successful. And it's true. The content creators, their community did everything possible to save this game. But let's see what Astrocross actually had to say.
Philosophically speaking, do you think or believe Destiny 2 players could in any way possibly increase sales of Marathon, and how? I mean, dude, the Destiny community is doing all they can for Marathon, as much as they could buy, like as much as any developer could ever ask. When 72% of your players are Destiny players, you know what I'm saying? The Destiny community has done more than enough for Bungie and for Marathon. Marathon needed to pull in other players.
But yeah, I mean, at some point the game, I said this from the get-go before the game was released. If the game is, you can't rely on content creators to bring people to the game. If the game alone cannot stand on itself without other people supporting it, if it can't bring players in, then it's a bad game. In this case, it's a niche game and you got niche players. I do think it's becoming a bad game. I do. Because it's the content. I don't think the people. I'm gonna stop. I do think it's going downhill. We have Cruiser. The real fun of the game doesn't appear unless you make progress to get full heat movement upgrades and all the AI subroutines, which can take 100 to 200 hours for a normal person. On top of that, there's no true endgame besides Cryo Archive, which is only available 3 days a week. There is no shot in any world that you can say the game gets fun or gets better or gets at the best it can be 100 to 200 hours in. I'm sorry. That's how you make a dead game. You will kill your game. And we're seeing it. We're seeing Marathon die. Marathon is dying. It is propelling into the dirt. Its community is killing it. Its developers are killing it. The game itself is killing itself. We have Ovo Iceman Dawn. What a name. Does Bungie think the Marathon player base is going to wait 6 months for grenade nerfs like we had to wait for need nerfs in Destiny 2? The devs are already fumbling a great game, and it's been out for like 2 months. Welcome to a Bungie game. Welcome to the Bungie community. This is history repeating itself. Oh, baby. History repeats itself. We got Piggy. Why do people get so mad when you suggest nerfing stuff in Marathon? Because many of them are from Destiny and they have PTSD. People generally don't like having their toys nerfed. They don't. And for many people who are coming from other track shooters, it's not typical to have so many back-to-back nerfs. And they usually wait till the wipe to have nerfs. They don't usually see such dramatic changes in the meta with a game that's only been out for 2 months. Angelica, I can't believe there's actually key-based matchmaking. Like, what are you doing, bro? Yeah, that was another, like, the skill-based / regional bug. That was a whole drama that broke out and divided the community of Marathon. Now there's the key-based meta. Apparently, if you have a key, you get matched with people who have similar keys. I did not do any research on that, but it's still funny to talk about. That's some of the theory crafting that's going on, that people are now like, there's some kind of matchmaking. Well, there is. It's called mic-based matchmaking now. We have Darsh Mythoclast, random side tangent. If you are a top player that is frustrated by the endgame meta, start over will make you fall in love with Marathon again. Make an alt and start from scratch. Many seem lost in this top loot mindset where the game is only fun if you're fully kitted and using meta guns. Get over your egos. And there was more, but that's the guys. Just spend $40 more and buy another account. And like, maybe if you're lucky, you can Steam share, or if you have a physical disc on your console. But if you don't, just spend $40 more, guys. Just spend $40. Make a whole new account. Spend $40, guys. I love that the solution is just delete your account. You guys, you've done everything. You'll fall in love with the game all over. It's because you I'm sorry. The reaching within the community of Marathon is so hilarious. Guys, just delete all your game saves. You'll fall in love with a game all over again. You'll just delete everything, spend more money. Then follow up to that was Viva La Doctor. Mythoclast is absolutely correct. Folks are viewing this as more of a PvP battle arena with extraction mechanics, when in reality, it's probably one of the best extraction shooters made. Extraction shooters are at their core about survival. It should never be how many teams can I kill, but how can I escape Tau Ceti with all my loot? Often, PvP is the answer. However, either folks have forgotten the core of the extraction experience, or they never understood it in the first place. With every nerf and complaint, the game is consistently feeling more like a battle arena than a survival extraction shooter. Well, they were turning into a battle royale with the free their free kit run, modes. That's kind of what's happening. It is becoming a battle royale. Another one from Say Less. Not a single weapon was shot. What a joke. And this is a reaction to Bog on my dog. Yep. Just right off the rip. Just right off the rip. Spamming nades. Who needs guns, guys? Who needs guns? You can just spam some nades. We got another one from Gizaz. Mic-based matchmaking. Bro, no way. That's right. In response to Marathon development team saying, we've rolled out a small update to sponsor Dire Marsh Crewfill. If you've got a mic on, we'll do our best to match you with other players using voice chat too. If you're in the mood to chat, we want to make sure you're able to do that. I think that's so hilarious that people are like, it's funny because people do talk in Tarkov, but they also don't as well. We went from people complaining that there's no prox chat to now Bungie is forcing people with mics to play with each other now. It is wild. We got Tau Ceti Crew, another Marathon bot account. I keep seeing that Marathon and Arc player count is going down. It's okay. Quarter 3 and quarter 4 will boost player count tremendously. I predict it will surpass peak. There are gamers that have no idea that Marathon even exists. Mark my words. The cope is real. The cope is real. We got Sice Cool Guy apparently had made so the tweet from Cool Guy was, "Bro, no way," in response to Bungie changing the icons, the visual icons. And so Cool Guy had made a previous one in early March saying, as far as UI, the implants need to be a giant head and torso. So he was complaining that they need to change the icon, the UI icons for mods. And Bungie's like, yeah, we're going to do that. And so Sys was responding to that. A non-insignificant percentage of shitty changes in Bungie games can be traced back to Cool Guy specifically. It'd be funny if it didn't actively destroy the things I love. Again, another situation where people are against some content creators because they feel like they're changing the game and not in the way they want. Talking about content creators, we've got True Vanguard. Marathon is stuck between a rock and a hard place. It's an incredibly good game, but the more casual audience seems to be avoiding it. But if they dumb the game down, it'll be considerably worse. And I'll likely stop playing it. It's basically a phenomenal game that doesn't appeal, I guess, to a wider audience. By the way, I've never seen more cope from True Vanguard with the whole Steam chart shenanigans. He had like an absolute mental crash out, and it's been hilarious to see the full-on Bungie dick riding from True Vanguard. Like, his true colors came out, and I've never seen him dick ride Bungie as much as he has for Marathon, and just being so upset about the simplest things like Steam charts. We got Smodgy. For our Marathon followers, I don't pretend to force myself to like things. I'm bored of the current state of solos. So this was, I guess, a Discord ping. Everyone probably need to say this, but if they don't add solo cryo this week to Marathon, we will more likely go back to full-time Tarkov until endgame for solos is added. So another one goes back to Tarkov. Here we have I Frostbolt. Frost is on Destiny 1, which, yeah, Frost has left. He's not playing Destiny 1 and Diablo 4. He has left the Marathon building. ZK and Nighthawk are back in Trials. Mac is on Warframe. I'm back on my shitty stream schedule, and Jake is back on Reddit. Why is he on? What's with the shade? He's on Reddit. Man, what the fuck? Marathon 2 when? Damn. We got Jamie. Watching subsets of Marathon community tear itself apart is nothing new because I've been here since Destiny 2. True. It was only a matter of time. We have Icon Riot. Marathon, one more try. Oh, sorry, gave Marathon one more try. I'm uninstalling. I didn't sign up to play ranked every time I step into a lobby. Can't play with anyone who isn't sweating because we're playing 5 teams who are sweating. Yeah, as you can see, the situation has... The game's crashing. Marathon's crashing. The content creators are abandoning it. Players are abandoning it. Content creators that are staying are, against casual players against content creators against content creators. I don't think I addressed anyone that was not in the Marathon community. This whole podcast was reacting and talking about the situations about Marathon. And the reality is, something we have to talk about is, if the Marathon community is like this themselves, how is this game going to survive? I mean, we already know the wider game audience doesn't like Marathon. We know that's an undeniable truth. Marathon had horrible sales. It made barely any money compared to what it spent. And its niche community that loved it is tearing itself apart, and Bungie's tearing it apart and just making really bad decisions. And we're seeing like, it's crazy. We talk about how bad Concord is, but I truly think that Marathon will be its own category of a failure because it's doing what a AAA legendary studio like Bungie should not be doing. Not to say that like Joe Ziegler isn't doing his damnedest to appease his players. Like I think he's in a bad position. He has done so much to try to make this game work. Like, you've got to give him A for credit. Just he sees the Titanic. He's trying to keep it from sinking. He's trying so damn hard, and I do feel bad for him because his partner crime, Joseph Cross, started the leak a long time ago with his stupid arts, thieving. I feel really bad. That guy has been desperately trying to keep things floating, trying to be positive. He is doing his damnedest to keep this game floating. But I mean, I truly do believe it's the part of it is the content creators' fault and how hateful they've been to people talking about Steam charts, how toxic they've been to criticism, how toxic they've been to people, casuals in general. I mean, all the way back to Shroud when he was playing, making fun of casuals. These are all this when you have your most vocal content creators shitting on multiple subsections of the wider gaming audience, you are going to cause backlash. You're going to cause people to not want to be involved with that community or that game and cause them to hate you more. And that's what we're seeing. I do think that at a certain point, more content creators have done harm to Marathon than people with Steam charts have. I think the community itself being anti-inclusive and being exclusive has done more damage than Steam charts. I would say that the people to blame for the failure of Marathon at this stage of the game and seeing how it's rapidly declined, like I thought at some point we were going to hit a base. We have not hit a floor yet. The floor, like we are still seeing it go down and down and down and down. We have yet to hit a true floor for Marathon yet. And that's not good. But I do think that the floor would have been met sooner. But I do feel like the community itself has put oil, gas on the fire. They've escalated the downfall of this game because of their exclusiveness, their mockery of people who are, 9-to-5 Andys, the dads, the people that want PvE, just the whole mentality of the community itself has been very divisive and very unappealing. Like from an outside view, if I didn't know Bungie, I would not want to be part of this community because who would want to be in a community that is so against itself? Who would want to be part of a community that's so divided? But when I look at like digital extremes, they're pretty much all in the same bucket. Mostly there's some subsections, right? But most of the people in the digital extreme world are pretty like in the same bucket. Everyone's pretty on the same team Warframe, right? And I know that's not an extraction shooter, but I'm just using another company that actually has some positiveness going towards it in its community, right? And whereas Marathon, they're slitting each other's throats. They're literally going for blood, blaming each other, attacking each other, with the fact that they're also attacking anyone who might be interested in this game. It's just, I think the community, the toxicity is going to get worse the fewer people play this game. As the player population goes down, the more the toxicity will go up. And I do think at some point you'll see more and more content creators jump ship. And that will be a wrap. These people that are essentially the life support of the game will dip and people will latch on to Season 2 will save the game. Guys, they're going to do great. A big update. Season 2. The game will be saved. We'll see. I think May 8th will be a big eye opener. But I do think this is shaping how May 8th will go. Because if no one's playing the game, no one's buying anything. No one's buying the game itself either. These are all part of the equation. And there's no shot that Sony spent $3.6 billion for Destiny that's not been successful, for Marathon that's not been financially successful. And there's no shot that they spent $3.6 billion just for online knowledge. Where has that knowledge been used? How not to make a live service game? Because that's the only thing Bungie's provided. The only thing that we've notably seen from Bungie when it comes to, giving feedback and using their insights on live service was with Naughty Dog canceling their multiplayer game, which apparently the Naughty Dog crew is upset about that being canceled, right? But that's the only thing that I've heard that they've got, advice from Bungie. Outside of that, what else has Bungie done to provide actual knowledge for $3.6 billion? Anyways, this has been Reaction Replay. I don't know how these podcasts will go, but generally I feel like, as me trying to get back into the groove of doing unique videos, or doing videos that are more than just reacting to a YouTube video. I'm going to try to do other topics. There have been plenty of topics I would like to talk about. Like, I think next time we might talk about consoles and what exclusivity might look like in the future. So that might be a podcast topic for next time. But Marathon's kind of been a hot topic, and specifically in the situation where we're talking about Marathon, collapsing on itself, not because of Steam charts, because of the own community and Bungie itself. It's a topic worth discussing on its own. Let me know what you think about, Reaction Replay, the podcast. Let me know what you think. And as always, who knows, maybe in the future we'll have a guest on. I don't know who would guest it. Maybe someone from the community hop on. We'll just chit chat. This would be like the one time I would do a collab because it's a podcast. We'll see how that plays out. But I'll see you guys in the next video. As always, don't forget to game out. Huzzah!